Hey friends, how you doing? This is going to be a slightly different type of video from me. I wanted to do a channel update. I do like to do these every 6 or so months, especially when I have a couple of things in my mind and when I want to kind of share my thoughts about a couple of topics, including Cities Skylines 2. I want to talk about that and Cities Skylines 1 and the future projects that I have on my channel, and then a little bit of a personal update and just a chat. I guess this is a bit of a chat. On screen, you're going to be watching me chip away at a couple of detailing areas around the city, just making some places look a whole lot better, a whole lot nicer, and function a whole lot better too. We definitely needed to do that. And I've also just broken up the video into a couple of sections so you can follow along, get a good idea of the things that I'm talking about in, I guess, some pretty vague sections. But yeah, got a couple of things in my mind, so let's just get on into it. Alright, so like I said, this is pretty vague. I'm calling this personal stuff, but I don't know. It's just like a mix of thoughts and things that I wanted to talk to you guys, because I feel like I'm probably talking to my core audience right now. You know, I don't think there's going to be a huge amount of new people watching this. Could be completely wrong if you're new. This is a bit of a strange new one, but hi, welcome. But how are you all? I've recently passed in January. It's been 7 years since I released my very first video on YouTube. At the time, I was inspired by 3 YouTubers that don't even make City Skylines, don't even make videos anymore. Strict Toaster, Fresh Popcorn, and Flux Trance. It's a total throwback now, but back in the day, it was those guys. They were the main people making videos, and I felt like a new person on the scene, and I felt super late to the party, but they were the reasons why I started making videos. And it feels like a lifetime ago, so much has changed in my personal life. I'm sure so much has changed for you guys as well if you've been watching since then, or if you're fairly new. And of course, at the time when I first started releasing videos, it was really just a way of sharing my cities and, you know, getting some ideas from you guys and, you know, just kind of putting it out there. And it was really fun, but I was really nervous and I was too embarrassed to tell my girlfriend at the time, my now wife. But it was at a time when I was pretty fresh out of uni. We were backpacking a lot, living in the city. And now, like, I'm, you know, married, 2 kids, and we live in a completely different place. And this is now my part-time job. If you didn't know that, by the way, this is something that I do Mondays and Fridays. I started taking off these days from work a couple of years ago and feel super lucky to be able to do that in the first place. It was pretty wild when I started to take those days off, just going crazy. I'm making videos and playing City Skylines on those days that I could be working. It's crazy, still crazy to this day. And you know, I always had this vision that when I started to take these days off, that I could start uploading more frequently. And I was for a little while, but geez, if I knew how much free time I had before kids, even like the early stages of just like a little baby kicking around, I definitely would have made, and I think I probably made really the most of it. But these days, I only have that Monday and that Friday. You know, when it's work time, but outside of that, there's no editing, there's no like playing City Skylines. So it's pretty much just like 2 days a week. And to be honest, even like in December, actually leading up to City Skylines 2, I was pulling big nights and, you know, editing or recording stuff, especially when I was doing the job for Paradox to record that trailer and, you know, a bunch of different footage for that. I was doing long hours, you know, and enjoying it, but wrecked the day, you know, didn't realize how tired I was. And looking back, I realized it really just played a big part in, you know, my mental health and how much I was exercising and, you know, just working too much, and I was grumpy, and I might be releasing more videos and I might be like completing work, but it wasn't good. And I started off this year after a bit of a break from releasing videos, just kind of going, all right, I need to focus on sleep and I need to get back into exercising. And I've been pretty good for it. You know, this year I feel like I've definitely made a more conscious effort to exercise more and just to get more sleep. And I'm really noticing the difference. And I think it's been great. And I'm training now for 3 long runs, a marathon at the very end of the year, which would be nice, a half marathon in a couple of months. I'm tracking it all with Strava. So if you're on Strava, you can follow me there if you like. A whole bunch of you guys already follow me there, which is kind of nice. So it's a nice app, you know, one of those nice social media apps that is encouraging. And I always find, you know, a lot of encouragement when I see other people doing it and feel like I've made nice connections over there. So if you're interested, follow me over there. But that's all. This whole long-winded explanation is kind of like me saying, Now I don't even really have the nights to edit videos, so it really is now just Monday and Friday. They're the only times that I play and edit videos for this channel, and it's probably a good thing because I feel like I am living a way more balanced lifestyle. Now, I am not always guaranteed sleep. When you got a couple of kids in the house, sleep time is just an absolute gamble. But if I get it, then I'm usually up early and I'm going for a run or exercising or doing something. And to be honest, after reading like a million kids' books in a poorly lit room, the last thing I want to do when I finally surface from there is to jump in front of a computer and start editing. So it's actually been really nice just kind of calling the day there and getting up nice and fresh, at least most times. Sometimes it's always a gamble. And it also kind of goes for live streams. There has been a bit of a lack in live streams lately, and that's kind of why. These are Sunday mornings that I usually do them, and it's kind of nice to, maybe get up and do some stuff with the kids rather than jump in front of a computer and kind of tell them to leave the room. It's nice to get out and do some stuff. So I'm sorry for a bit of a lack in content. There might be weekends that you just don't see anything, but it comes from a good place. It's because I'm doing other things. But that doesn't mean I don't want to just kind of accept the fact that there will just be weekends that content doesn't go out. I actually feel like I need to make some changes in the way that I make videos. I guess it's kind of like why I'm saying this. But I need to get them out better. I need to stop over editing things. And I know what you're thinking. Just get an editor, just get someone to make your thumbnails and edit your videos. I don't think I can justify an editor, to be honest. And I also kind of, I do like the process of doing it all myself. So I don't really want to get an editor. But I also feel like I can make some changes to my workflow, make things a little bit quicker. But, I've been saying that for years. We'll see what happens, I guess. So yeah, again, a bit of a personal channel update, just in case you didn't really know too much about the man behind the channel. This is him, this is me, and this is sort of the stuff that I'm thinking about for this year, and reasons why sometimes videos don't come out quite as frequent as I would like. Man, I am jealous of all the people that release videos more frequently than I can, and some people are just machines at releasing content. I am very envious. And while I'm mentioning my schedule, I do have to give a shout out to my patrons, because that is like the reason why I can take that time off. So if you're ever wanting to support the channel and have the means to, and if you want to go that extra mile, then I would very much appreciate it, because that is like the reason why I can upload and take time off. If I didn't take time off, then I honestly wouldn't know how I would be releasing videos. It's consistent because YouTube is just all over the place. I've got no idea what it's going to do. I thought that this year was going to be a big year for Cities Skylines. Turns out it's been like the worst, and I'll talk about that very soon as well in this video. But it's so wild and you've got no idea, and it's kind of scary, to be honest. But knowing that people are kind of watching for a particular reason, there was a whole bunch of people that came out and were commenting on how much they appreciated seeing Oceania back last week. And that's like super encouraging, because I thought that was pretty dead, Cities Skylines 1, I thought was pretty much gone and finished, but people are still interested in that, and I'll talk more about that later in this video. But I guess all of this is just really to say thank you guys so much for supporting. If you're just tuning in every now and again, watching all of them, commenting, supporting the channel on Patreon, whatever you're doing, you're supporting me, and I really, really appreciate it, because I am very obsessed with this. And, I think about my channel and what we can do next all the time. It's the reason why I see so many new series. It's the reason why even still doing this over all these years, I am too obsessed. I really am obsessed. I have to admit that. I'm obsessed with this. It's not even just Cities Skylines. I really like this whole thing that we've created. And the community in Cities Skylines is wonderful, but I am concerned about the future, I'm a little bit nervous. And I think we should talk about why. All right, let's talk Cities Skylines 2. You knew this was coming, and I just want to say straight off the bat, I love this game. I think this game is fabulous. It's fantastic. I love the weather, I love the seasons, I love the mechanics, I love the gameplay, and I love the graphics. But I also hate this game. I hate the seasons, I hate the weather, I hate the mechanics, and I hate the graphics. Is that the same order? Probably a little bit different. I find it crazy that I can, and I think it's the same for everyone, but you can really appreciate what the game is doing, but then in the same breath go, what is the game doing? You know, I look down at this footage and I think it looks amazing, and then I also think it looks terrible, and it's like, what is it? Which one is winning? Do I like this game more than I dislike parts of it? I don't know which way this whole thing is tipping. I honestly don't know. And the crazy thing is that I've actually been in this situation before, and it was with Cities Skylines 1. I felt the same way when that trailer was released, and I thought it looked pretty goofy, you know? As much as I desperately wanted a new city builder, and I was like, whoa, what is this game? Like, how incredible. I saw the road mechanics similar to Cities Skylines 2. I saw the road mechanics and thought, whoa, that is really impressive. And then I saw the graphics and I was like, oh, it's a little bit strange. Like, why do those buildings look that way? And why is it super bright? And then why is it also kind of dark in areas? It was really strange. And it's the same with Cities Skylines 2. I kind of feel like the colors are there, but they're also not there. It's too contrasty in areas, but then it's perfect in others. And then I just feel like the overall textures, I've already complained about all the road networks and even the, you know, it just feels like everything is sitting on top of each other, but not blending in. And it was the same with Cities Skylines 1. I felt the same way. And it's weird because I feel like I'm having the same experience playing Cities Skylines 2 as I did with Cities Skylines 1, where I loved it and was totally on board, but lost interest after a little while. Took me a couple of DLCs later, and I think I came back to the game. I discovered the Steam Workshop, which reignited my interest in this, and then I discovered Let's Plays on YouTube, which I didn't even know were a thing. I mean, this was really like showing the times, but you know, I didn't even realize people watched YouTube as a way of just like watching media. I thought it was just like a place where you uploaded tutorials, so that was kind of like a mind-blowing thing as well. And then all of a sudden, this is like this whole thing that just kind of takes off. So I wonder whether we're going to have the same thing in Cities Skylines 2. And I'm really holding out for that because I feel like what made Cities Skylines 1 so special in the first place, let's be honest, it was the workshop. It was just seeing people's creativity and seeing what was added each week and each day. I always loved just seeing what people did with mods and assets. And this is where the community really came together with Cities Skylines 1, and I think that we need it. We really need Paradox mods, and this really needs to be an amazing thing because I think that the game needs it. Of course, they have been so cautious because they need to release something that is truly great. They can't release something that is half-assed and just farted out, and something that is just going to be half-baked like the game's release was. Sorry, like 3 bum references right in a row there, but you know what I mean? It's just, they need to really wow us with whatever Paradox mods is going to be, and it's going to have to be the thing that reignites a lot of interest for people, because people are losing interest. There's not enough to this game at this current state that is really holding people to it. And I think that Biffa said it really well when he said that nothing really feels like it matters in this game. You know, you're always making money, and you know, what use are the milestones when you can just place down power stations and delete them just to kind of get to the milestone that you want or the achievement that you want. You know, it's like there's like just such easy solutions to all these things, and I just wish that there wasn't. I want to be struggling financially, and I want the milestones to mean something. So then people then go, okay, I'll just make a good looking city. Well, you could probably just play Cities Skylines 1 then, because I feel like you can make great looking cities however you like with just thousands of custom assets and any mod you could ever want. So yeah, here we are. This game is kind of like losing a lot of interest, and that is pretty scary to me. And I think that what makes it so frustrating is that you know that this is not a finished product. You know that there is more to come, and that there are going to be bug fixes and graphical changes and just so much that is going to change. And it's all to do with the things that I love. You know, I love the seasons, but winter is broken, you know? And I hate the way that snow falls on the mountains. It just doesn't look right. So, okay, I don't use seasons. The road mechanics, the tools, truly unbelievable. They're amazing. However, I mean, I don't think the roads look that great. I wish they had more textures to them, and I don't really see that much traffic, you know? There's like no one driving on the road, so I think most people just like to walk. So I guess that's not great. I'll give a compliment to the people, the Sims in this game. I think the fact that they are individual people just randomly generated, that is amazing. Like, think about that. How cool is the fact that no 2 Sims are alike? Alright, unfortunately, they look the way they look, and it's not great. So I don't want to look at the Sims. The music, sound design, the radio stations, I love the way that they're all kind of connected. the radio kind of talks about things that are happening within your city, but then also kind of doesn't really, and then also just is very repetitive, so it turns it off. There's just like so many different things that I like fall in love with, but then fall out of love with, and it's so frustrating, and I don't even feel angry at the developers for releasing the game as is, because I don't know the first thing about releasing a game or developing a game or the marketing that goes into it. I'm sure a lot of time, effort, money, a lot of resources would have gone into all of this. And there's also been a whole bunch of setbacks and a lot of postponing, so I can imagine that would have been very costly. And then I see things like Cities Skylines 2 being marketed on the side of buildings in China, and Linus Tech Tips doing like a couple of videos on Cities Skylines 2, you know, so I can see that there's like a lot of time and effort that's gone into marketing. And also, how many more DLCs could they release for Cities Skylines 1? Like, you could tell that they were at the end of all of this, with the promise that the game was going to be developed and finished at the end of last year. So, I don't know, I can see this whole timeline where that they've like planned for things to happen and gone, okay, it has to be released on this date. It would have been pretty disappointing if you were someone who worked on this and had to, I don't know, put all hands on deck to get the game just up and running for release, and had to kind of postpone or just disregard some ideas that you had. And again, this is all speculation. I hope you guys know this. I don't know any inside information, but I do feel like things aren't finished. There are aspects that I know that they're going to be introducing, and I'm sure there's parts of this that they've had to completely abandon just to get this game up and running. And I don't think that these are decisions that would have been made lightly. I am rooting for them because I really want this game to be so much better, and I'm excited to see and hear things like they're adding animations to firemen. You know, we're going to see firemen coming out of the fire trucks putting out fires. Fantastic. There's going to be animations to buildings being constructed, which you can see down here. Looks, I hate this. I hate that there's just not a construction animation. SimCity 4, which I've kind of started playing again, just keep that on a DL, but the game has so much atmosphere because the city feels alive with movement and construction, and there's so much going on to rubbish piling up on lots because you haven't organized your garbage situation very well, and crime being graffitied, or graffiti being graffitied, how about that, on walls because the crime rate is really bad. And there's like layers to this. And of course, the simulation to the game is shallow as it's 2003, so there's not much going on behind the scenes. So Cities Skylines 2 is doing way more complex stuff. I think that like when simple things like, you know, buildings not having a proper animation when it comes to construction actually adds so much to the game that I'm only really realizing now that I'm kind of going back to it. So I guess I'm saying all this stuff because after playing a little bit of SimCity 4 and Cities Skylines 1, I'm struggling a little bit in Cities Skylines 2 just with what it can do at this current state, which I then think leads me pretty well into the next thing I want to talk about. Okie dokes. I'm sure you all saw this coming, but yeah, there's going to be more Cities Skylines 1 videos coming out. I did an Oceania episode last week, and it was so much fun. I had an absolute ball, and you guys were really on board with it, which is so lovely to see. So I'll be doing more Oceania. I haven't loaded up Sunset City yet, but I reckon I'll probably have to spend like a little while, like a couple of hours, just like setting it all up and making sure the mods and assets are all there and running fine. But I do plan to also release some videos there too. In terms of like how much I want to release of those, it's not ideal, but I kind of feel like I want to do like one each week. So I'll do an Oceania, Sunset City, Cities Skylines 2. I know that's like less Cities Skylines 2, but I feel like my core audience is still kind of craving more detailed, more story-driven videos, whereas I feel like that's really hard to do in Cities Skylines 2 at this stage. So for me personally, I really like doing voiceover over time-lapse, and then I can kind of like edit things and make things a little bit more interesting in terms of, you know, cutting footage together. But I actually think that it works better in Cities Skylines 2 just do like a let's play, and I just do it live and I think it's more engaging and interesting, and I think people like prefer it that way, and that's so fine because that's actually kind of easier to make. But I think that's like the direction I'll be doing for Cities Skylines 2 videos. Whereas Oceania, Sunset City, they'll be kind of a bit more story driven. And I think that's like what people want more from them anyway. And I personally prefer making videos like that. I like making Let's Play, just like building stuff, but I think that's like a really nice balance for me at least. In terms of what those videos are going to look like, I am still super invested in Cities Skylines 2. Like, I know I've complained about it, like all the other YouTubers have complained about it, because we have our complaints, but I am also still loving the game. I really am, and there's still so much I want to develop. And even looking at some of this footage, I'm like, oh man, this looks pretty bloody good. But then looking back at other games, I'm like, oh man, that looks pretty good too. So I am obviously torn, but I am keen to make more videos with Cities Skylines 1. There won't be any new series in Cities Skylines 1. I'm just gonna probably just like complete a couple of sections within Oceania and in Sunset City. Now, in terms of like finishing those maps, I don't know. I don't see that happening. Personally, within Oceania, there's like less I want to build. So for instance, there is a small city that I talked about in the last episode that I would like to develop up, but I think that will probably be a couple of episodes, and there's like a couple of sections in between and maybe a couple of other little areas around Oceania, but there's not like a huge amount more want to do there because I do feel like a lot of it has kind of been done in one way or another. I feel like I've definitely changed my perspective of how I'm going to develop up that map because I do like the space between places, and then where I always thought I was going to build cities and towns, I've already kind of like done that in other areas. So I kind of feel like even though the map's not finished, I'm at a point where I'm kind of feeling like there's areas that I feel like are already complete. Whereas in Sunset City, there's like so much I want to do there. You know, there's like whole regions and whole towns and cities, but I don't know. I'm not going to get to all of it. It's just like too much. The things that I can do in Cities Skylines 2 now, like in terms of road mechanics and the way things look, I feel like we'll make projects like that far easier. Whereas in Cities Skylines 1, there'll just be times where I'd think that like an intersection would take like 10 minutes and it'll take an entire episode. And, you know, sometimes that kind of just snowballs projects out of control. And sometimes I don't think I'm going to do, you know, the whole World Expo was only going to be, that wasn't even going to be a thing. And then that ended up becoming like 3 episodes, and they're big episodes. But I'm not gonna lie, Cities Skylines 1 is there until I reckon Cities Skylines 2 just kind of gets built back up or gets built into something that I think is way more interesting. And I think that Paradox mods will be that catalyst. I think that's when things are going to get really, really good. Because I see a scenario where Cities Skylines 2, hopefully at some point this year, is just going to be unreal. And I think that Paradox mods will be that. Or I think that like some amazing update will be that as well. Because I do think that whatever they release next has to be really great. And I think that they know that too. But I don't know. Speculation. We'll see what happens. Maybe famous last words. Maybe we just continue in Cities Skylines 1. Who knows? But we'll see what happens. They're the ideas at this stage. And I'm playing a little bit SimCity 4, okay? I was doing it for myself, but now it's kind of snowballed. So I'm sorry, but there might be some City 4 sprinkled in somewhere too. But I'm not going to release any of that until I'm kind of like a little bit far ahead. And that's like a side thing. That's like a fun little thing that I'm doing on the side. But that's about it. I've been looking at a black screen for about 5-6 minutes or so. So I need to go back in and record some footage so I can put into this little bit. Maybe even expand out some of the other areas because I think I kind of talked too long, even though I cut some stuff. But that's all good. Guys, I hope you are all good. Thank you all, as always, for your support, and really, really appreciate you guys so much. A big shout out to my lovely patrons. Once again, Maria, Matt Francis, Robert Williams, Blasty Freak, Matt Taylor, Colin Moore, Rat Cheese Rat, Cat Person, Here is Solars, X Steve, Mikey, Kilo, and Turpa. Cheers, legends. I'll see you all in the next one.